Alright, so here we're going to take a look at the menu, the LCD display basically. So 6 buttons on it. You got your power button in the top left that also selects menu options. You got these top 3 buttons basically, all with little arrows on top. Those are going to be your selections. You'll see that in the menu where there's going to be 3 boxes corresponding to the little arrows pointing up. Okay, and oh, please be focused in and working this whole time. So I'm going to cry my eyes out if this isn't working the whole time. So hopefully you guys can see this display. Hopefully everything's coming in crystal clear here. You have your plus or minus, which is going to adjust discrimination, audio, up or down basically. And then down here you're going to have your pinpoint option as well. So we will show you that outside. It also does a couple other different things in other menus, so we'll show you everything here. So let's go ahead and turn it on. Just press it there. Backlight comes on real quick. Machine does have a backlight. Pretty cool. This is version 3.2. Speaker. Do you want to use a speaker on the machine? Yes or no? Right now I'm going to choose no, because we don't want to hear it beeping every time I hit a button, and we don't want to hear the chatter. So when you first turn on the unit, read the manual. You're going to see that the detector, the LCD, the LED on the detector, the LED, the little blinking light on the detector coil, starts to flash long and then beeps every second once it's connected to the unit here. Okay, so as you can see right now, we are connected, it's turned on. Top left you see the battery life of the unit right there. We're going to start top left here of this is your main menu display right here. This is what you're going to see 90% of the time here. Okay, so right there, that's the coil. You see it switch to the circle. That's your coil battery. It's full. Right there's my LCD unit. When it's just a battery without the circle, that's just your LCD. So right now I'm running about 60% on this box here and full power on the coil. I purposely left it off just to see what it would take to get this. It says you can run about 25 hours or so on the box here. So pretty neat, pretty neat. So right there along the top you're going to see number 14. That is what do they call it, configuration I'm running. So you can go plus or minus here and we'll run through them. So you'll see number 1 is called basic. These are your presets basically. So number 1 is basic. Number 2, GM power, which is one of their gold max detector. Deus fast, which is real high reactivity. Pitch mode, which is like VCO on your, and they all have different settings. When I go into the menu here, all have different frequencies, different reactivity, different silencer. I'll go through what each of those words mean as well. So there is pitch mode number 4. So it has quite a few. G max, their gold max, a relic mode here. Wet beach, you have dry beach, you have basic 2, which is really a soft program, really no chatter at all. Not the deepest program, but great if you just want a nice and quiet day and just want to hit nice big coins. I played around with that one a little bit. You have gold field right here, so if you're into a little bit of prospecting, you have that. You have the gold in. I don't have the manual in front of me, so I don't really have the name and each one. It would be like a 5-hour video if I went through each one and showed you each setting on these. So I'm just cycling through them so you get a good idea here of what's going on. So deep, you have the deep program here, number 12, which hits deep targets. Number 13 here is one that Loco Digger set in. He named it in. So, and this is mine, the TheHunterGT number 1 here. Had a couple others, but I deleted them. This is what I run 95% of the time. If not, I just go to basic or one of the others and just adjust it accordingly. But this is mine. So we'll go ahead and show you what I have saved and how to adjust little bits and pieces here of some stuff. Okay, so first thing, if we want to do, we'll go into option here. We're going to start left, or actually let's stay on this menu first. We have the time in the top right corner. We're going to have the time there. Right here you're going to see this top bar. You can see how it's kind of grayed out and then at the very end, you see that little, right above my thumb there, you see that little light area. That's the area I'm detecting right now. I have all that gray area notched out. So I'm a coin guy, and then you'll see a little bit of gray right on the end. That means I have 99 and 98 notched out as well. So if I go back to this program, you'll see they have a little notch there, right? This is your conductivity bar, basically. So this horizontal bar along the top. So that you'll see this dark marker there. That is going to be, you'll see it move around quite a bit, and that's going to be where an item comes in. So let's like put my ring. See how it moved around now? When I move my hand across it with the ring, that dark bar moved way over there to the side. So because it's ringing up as a 74, 77, 70, so 76, 77. So that is going to be where 77 lies on your conductivity scale, and it also pops it right here. And so it's just kind of a scale that matches your ID right there in the middle. The dark areas are what you have notched out. The light clear areas are going to be what you have notched in and what you're picking up. Okay, top right over here, that's going to be your ground phase, basically what your ground readout is, and on bottom is what you have your ground balance set to. That's what those two numbers are here. This right hand scale is going to be mineralization in your soil. So if you see that start to fill up, you may need to start making some adjustments to your reactivity, what frequency you're running, your sensitivity if you're getting a lot of chatter. So that's your mineralization chart right there. High minerals, a lot of iron, a lot of salt, yada yada, you're going to see that fill up. Not so bad, it's going to stay blank. Right here on bottom with the little wavy line right there, and then the 5 numbers at your frequency, so it's 11.820, or we'll round it up to 12 kilohertz. Over here we have a horseshoe menu here, it's called. On the right hand side of the horseshoe menu is going to be your non-ferrous targets, so non-iron, your coins, your good stuff is to the right. Iron targets are going to be to the left hand side here. You see it kind of bouncing back and forth from EMI. My refrigerator's right off to the left too by the coil a couple feet away, so it's picking up all sorts of good stuff in here. But left hand side iron, right hand side good stuff, coins, jewelry, non-ferrous items basically. And you see how it kind of fills up dark, how it's, you know, right now there's just a little bit. When it fills up, that means it is a shallow target. If it's just real, kind of backwards. So if you just see a little blip like that, a little tiny bit, it means it's a very deep target. All right, so that's how the horseshoe menu works. So little tiny bit of black, deep target. Full black, shallow target. Right hand side, good stuff. Non-ferrous, left hand side, bad stuff. All your iron, ferrous stuff. All right, so that is the full main menu basically. I think I've gone through everything there, so let's go ahead and choose option here on the left hand button. And now we have programs. So this is where we can select and we can save and edit the name of our programs. We can delete programs, we can save programs, we can do all that, all right? And then it's basically one, you can't go back up the menu here. So that's one thing about this is kind of weird. You cannot go back up the menu. So you see this little down arrow on the menu button here. You just press that and you see I'm scrolling through the menu in a downward. So whatever's down here, see it says delete next. So I hit that button and now delete is highlighted. Save is coming next. I hit it and save is there and delete is on top. So it always scrolls downward. You can't go backwards that I know of yet. Maybe there's a trick somebody knows, holding down a button and cycling backwards, who knows. But to go back, you just hit this back arrow like back on a keyboard basically. So we'll go back here. So that's your programs. We'll go to coils, you select here, and this is where you're going to set up what coils you want to use and set up. We don't want to do that right now. So here we go. So that's basically if you have a 9-inch coil and then you want to switch over to your 11-inch. That's where you'll set that up because it needs to read it back and forth with this display here, basically with the LCD box here. So let's go down. Next is configuration, and from there we'll hit select, and here we can turn our speaker on or off. Oh, I went down. Let's go back to that. So configuration, select. We'll go back to speaker. So and now we do plus minus to select it. So you're gonna, until you get used to this menu, you're gonna do a lot of weird button presses. Even close to 100 hours, I'm still hitting a lot of weird button presses. So we got speaker no, we hit it, and now yes. And you can hear the chatter, the EMI. So we'll turn that back off. Backlight off or on, there it is. And you can adjust how long you want it to stay on, on all the time. 2 minutes, 1 minute, 10 seconds, 3 seconds, or off. So we'll go ahead and leave it off to just save battery here. And then you can adjust your contrast of your LCD unit here all the way up till you black it out at 20 or 19, and then all the way down at 0, and it gets kind of grayed out. So we'll run it about, till the box disappears, about 5 there. So, and then clock setting, you can set your clock here however you want it. Profile, we'll select here. Now you can choose between the graphic, the horseshoe display, which I chose the whole time, or you can choose between this graph here. I didn't really read the manual. It doesn't really say anything in the manual about this. I had the 3.0 manual printed out. It did not come with the 3.2. This software is 3.2 on the unit, so not too sure about that. I didn't get a chance to read all of Andy's book. Andy Sabish, that's a book that you definitely want to buy. If you're gonna spend $1,200 on this detector, go buy Andy Sabish's book. Google that name. You'll see, just Google XP Deus and Andy, A-N-D-Y, and you'll see all you need to know about that. So you can change the horseshoe menu to this graphic here, more of a flowing graph there, so we'll leave it at horseshoe. And then down here, ID normalization, yes or no, I leave it on. This basically means that your coins, so a quarter is going to ring up at 95. If I change frequencies down to 4, 8, 12, or 18, it's going to change the ID on a quarter at each frequency by 1 or 2 or 5 or 6. So with this, I leave it on, and if I change frequencies, I still know, hey, it's a quarter every single time instead of remembering all the different IDs. Ain't nobody got time for that. So basically, I leave it on. A lot of people leave this off to check bottle caps. I've learned to use the XY menu for bottle caps and use my ear for bottle caps. Even with 80 hours, I can tell now the difference between a quarter and a bottle cap. First 10 hours, 20 hours, extremely frustrating with bottle caps and quarters. So that's pretty much everything in your profile. Then you can update it here. I'm not going to select that because I don't know what's going to happen. I haven't touched it yet. I don't want to break his machine, and so we're not even going to go there. So and then we're back to the speaker. So that's everything under configuration, programs, coils. So that's everything under the option menu right there. Not everything. I'm going to show you one more thing here. If we hold down, this is a secret menu. If we hold down pinpoint and plus, we're going to get advanced show up now. So now we're going to go to advanced. We're going to get select, and now we have visualization XY, which is pretty cool. We'll select there, and now you have this screen here. So if we pass something metal like my ring, you see we get this crazy line, and we get bar, we can tell horizontal or vertical on this XY, and see if we want to leave it or keep it. Trash objects are going to come up just crazy lines everywhere, and something like my ring, when I pass it across, it's on my finger still, so it's at an angle. You're going to get nice straight lines like that without all the jittery stuff. So we'll go over that outside as well in the next portion. So to leave, it just says leave right there. You still get your ID up on the top right here, your 0 to 99 right there. So it's a pretty neat little menu. I like to hunt with this menu and then switch over to the horseshoe to see how deep the target is, and then use pinpoint from there. And then my handheld pinpointer, it's quite a process sometimes. So, and then right here we have multi-TID. I didn't really get into that, so it doesn't show you anything about it. This is made for the factory, I guess, a lot of this stuff, so didn't get into that, but I do like the XY menu. You get to that again by hitting pinpoint and plus, and your reticle, your target reticle on bottom, and plus, and then you'll get the advanced, and there's your XY menu. Alright, so that's everything in the options. From here we're going to hit menu, And here's where everything gets interesting. So here's all of our settings here. We have discrimination that we can bump from 0 to 10 or whatever. Now 0 to 10 you're going to see as a point. You see 4.8, 4.9. Each press is going to go up by 1. And then if I hold it and go up to 10, now my disc really ramps up and it's by ones. So 11, 12, 13. Okay, so 0 to 10 is kind of a sliding scale, and then from you can really fine tune it 0 to 10. Most iron is out at 5 to 10. You're not really going to see anything. A lot of guys hunt it at 2.5, but I've seen some iron come in above that. So I usually hunt it at 10 if I'm doing no notch, but I notch everything in usually anyways. I just had it saved with 10 on here to show it. When I take the notch off, I run it at 10. So I'm not going to go through the expert menu just yet, so we're just going to run through it here. So there's your discrimination. I go down. Sensitivity can be adjusted from 0 to 99, so there's our sensitivity. Go down again, our frequencies here from 12, 11.8 being 12, and here's 8 kilohertz, 7.9, there's 4.1, which is 4, and we'll go all the way up, and there's our fourth one, which is 17.6, or they mark it as 18. Alright, so we'll go down again. Here's iron volume. So you guys that like to hear that iron chatter and stuff, there's 0 to 5. Reactivity, think of this as recovery speed basically. How fast the tone's going to hit, how long or wide the tone's going to sound compared to a target next to it. So at reactivity like 0, you may miss a target right next to something because your tone's going to be so long on what it's picking up first. Well, with your reactivity up high, it really separates targets, really little beep, 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 real quick. Even at 1, it's super fast. I've never had to set it above 2. So my soil, I found 2 on reactivity and 2 on the silencer to be pretty damn good for my soil. I'm still hitting 8, 9 inches on coins with that, and that is spectacular for my soil. So that's like 15 inches anywhere else, which is just bonkers to me. So we'll go into silencer here in the expert menu next. So there's your reactivity is what it's called. You can adjust that from 0 to 5. Your audio response, which basically can be adjusted from 0 to 7. It will tell you, it will pick up, it doesn't make things pick up more. It's hard to explain. Audio response is a response for deep targets. So if you set it high, deep targets, you know, you're going to get like a different, they're still going to come up high tone, but you're going to get like a faint signal or a real loud signal. So if you want everything to sound really hard and bang hard, you adjust it how you want it. Read the manual, read Andy Savish's book. Like I said, guys, I can't really go into all this stuff on video here. It'd be a 5-hour video. It's probably already going to push close to an hour and a half total. So there's your audio response. We'll go down again. Now we have our notch. It's 6 wide. So you can bump it up or down, 40, 41, 42, and then this upper number is going to go up by 1 as well, lower and upper. So it's 6 wide, as you can see. So if I set it at 40, it goes from 40 to 46. So that's your notch basically, and then if we hit expert, we can adjust 3 different notches. I'll show you the expert mode next here. Now disc, okay, so now we're back to disc. So that's basically everything. So we have disc, sensitivity, frequency adjustments to the 4 frequencies, iron volume, reactivity, audio response, and notch. Okay, and here you have your ground phase again as you're running your coilover stuff, and your your ID will be up here, and then your 90 right here, what your ground balanced at. So you always have your ID in your, so when you're running through your menu and going over a target and listening, you still have your 0 to 99 ID and what your ground balance to. So when you're making your adjustments, you can see it in real time. Pretty neat. So there is your menu. We'll go over the expert menu last here. Don't worry about that. I'm coming back to it. And then here is your, so we're back at our main screen here again. So, and GB for ground balance. So now we have manual ground balance here. We can adjust it by 1 at a time. You'll see these 3 little dots. So as I press it, 1 dot, 2 dots, 3 dots. So it's like 93.3, 93.6, 93.9. And then when you go up, you hit the next one, number up 94. So you see those 3 little dots, or you can just hold it down and it goes much faster. And this is how you manually ground balance if you want to. It is preset at 90. The manual actually says you should leave it at 90 unless you just have crazy conditions. They really tout to quite a large paragraph about how you should always keep it at 90 and don't use the pumping method unless absolutely necessary. Pumping right here is the next one down. You hit start, it will say in progress. It wants you to pump your coil. You see the little coil, it's going to say fail here in a minute. If you pass, it passes. If not, and you see right there, ground balance fail. But usually it'll say ground balance pass, and it'll give you the number that you're set to. Bam, you're all set. That's how normal people ground balance it. But like I said, they really want you to keep it at 90 for most scenarios, unless you're on the beach or unless you're gold hunting or in really crazy conditions, basically. So then we have beach, yes or no. We are not on the beach. I didn't really go through a lot of beach stuff, so if you guys are on I live in Colorado, guys, so I'm landlocked. If you got a lot of wet beaches, salt beaches you go to another video, unfortunately. Go read up on some beach stuff. I'm not really going to get into that here. So tracking, this basically means that you can set this like this and it will automatically track your ground and make adjustments. So if you're finding that if you have ground where one section of your area is 70, the next section's 80, the next 90 on your ground balance scale as it adjusts, well, this is what you want. You want the tracking to just track for you. That way you're not having to go back and play with your menu all day. Who wants to do that? You want to have fun, so you let the tracking do that for you. All right, and then we're back to manual. So that is pretty much it. I am going to take just a quick break here to rest my hand from holding this up so straight. Camera's on a tripod, but my fingers are killing me from holding this like this, trying not to shake and stuff. So you're not going to see the break. It's just going to jump right to the next scene. But we're going to go through the expert menu here and show you how to set up the different notches and everything on there. And then we are going to get into some testing, I think, and get into the meat and potatoes of this review. All right, let's do it. Alright, we're back. So, the expert menu, that is where we left off. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So, that is going to be in our menu section here. And then for each one, you see over here on the left, we have expert. So, we're going to start it off on disk here. And let's go ahead, we're at disk 10. So, what happens when we hit expert? Now we have our tones, because we can discriminate, of course, with our ears. So, we have, let's start at the top here. We'll start 2 tones. So now you see we have expert again. And as we go down, some of them, watch it disappear. So see, no expert there on full tone, because full tones you're getting every possible tone. And pitch, no expert there because you basically adjust the pitch to where you want to hear it. So it adjusts in 4 frequency shifts basically. For most of them, 3 on that one. So 2 tones, 3 tones, 4 tones, 5 tones. So let's go check out 5 tones, let's say, and let's look at expert. I'm gonna look at that one because they're the same for 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we'll go to expert again, and now look. So we have 5 tones. So we have 4 bars here going up and down here. So we have 202. 518, 644, 725, and 800. And that's basically where your tone is going to fall, so I can adjust it. So for the first tone of my 5 tones, I can adjust where I want it to stop, basically the low tone. I can adjust the pitch of it from low to high. So if you had to speak, let me go back here and I'll show you. Let me adjust let's turn on the speaker. So we'll go to yes. Alright, so now we're going to go back to menu. We're at disk, expert, 5 tones, expert again. So now look. So we're at 206. I think we're at like 204 was standard. So hear it. Well, I guess, you know, it's not going to give me the sound. I thought it was going to give me the sound in the menu, but it's not going to. So, anyways, if you run stuff over your coil, iron, stuff like that, you can adjust this and make your first tone, low tone, high tone, however you want to set it, and then go back through them like that, okay? So, and then it adjusts. As you can see, I can adjust this one where I want it to break to my next one. Alright, so read the manual, adjust with it. I haven't really played with it too much. I'm not going to sit here and fiddle with it on camera and look like a noob either. But that's basically how you're going to adjust your tones. You can go back to each one. So you hit expert, you got all your graph here, so you pick that one. You can adjust all 5 of them with the middle one, and then bam, it goes there. You can adjust each one where you want it. Alright, so read the manual, watch other videos on how to do that. That's how you can adjust the frequency of the sound of each tone. So from really low to really high. It's pretty neat. So in pitch is like VCO. I'll go over that one in the air test, all of the tones when I'm running coins through it. Okay, so there's your disc setup for the expert menu. It's basically all tones is going to be in your expert disc. You can set up all your different frequencies and everything there for each tone. So sensitivity, let's hit expert. And now we're at TX power. This is basically think of a car with high beams. This is the power of the whole electromagnetic field, the high beams of the coil penetrating into the ground, basically. Okay, so sometimes less is more. It goes from 1, 2, or 3. At 4 kilohertz, it is always maxed out to TX power 3. At 8, 12, and 18, you can adjust it from 1, 2, or 3. So in highly mineralized dirt, you're probably going to want to run it at 1 so that your high beams aren't on and you're not picking up so much trash in your beams, you know. So sometimes less is more when it comes to detecting. Standard is 2. I find that 99% of the time that is fine, and 3 is full power. Things can get a little bit chattery there at times. I don't really care for that. So 2 is usually what I keep it at. Unless I was gold prospecting or something, or at the salt beach, then maybe down to 1. Okay? So that's sensitivity. That's your expert setting. It's not sensitivity. Sensitivity is like how it responds to a small target versus a large target. Your TX power is more of your whole power of your field, like your electromagnetic field, okay? So we go down again, now we're at frequency, and when we hit expert here, we're basically just adjusting. So we're at 11.820. If I hit the plus, I go over to 11.9. And I can go down to 11.6. So it's just a frequency shift, basically the expert menu here. The manual touts that you should definitely keep it at your middle setting at all times, okay? So let's go down again. We're at iron volume now. No expert there. So iron volume's pretty self-explanatory, 0 to 5. If you want to hear the iron bits and pops and crackles, there you go. Reactivity. So this is like your recovery speed, basically how fast it picks up target to target or separates trash from a good target, basically. Okay, so if we hit expert here, now we have silencer, and it runs from -1, 0, all the way up to 4. Now what is silencer, Hunter? Well, silencer is a difficult thing to answer, so reactivity as well. Silencer basically is going to stop the pops, crackles that you hear on each side of an iron, along with the iron audio adjustment. The pops and crackles of little bits of foil, the pops and crackles of iron, little bits of trash here and there, mineralization in your dirt. That's what silencer is going to eliminate if you go upwards. So at like 4, you're not going to hear any sorts of little bip 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 in you know, it sounds almost like electromagnetic interference when you get next to a power line. You've heard it, everybody's heard detectors do that. So it's going to stop that when you turn your silencer up. It's going to basically, this is real hard for me to put in something short of a huge essay. It's basically just going to stop you from hearing the little chattery signals in the ground. Okay, that's how I'm going to sum it up. When you adjust the reactivity, it's going to change it. So see, right now I'm at 2. Watch what happens. Now if I adjust it to 3, I go back to expert, look, it's at -1. It'll be that way for 3, 4, 5. It'll be -1. So, but if I go to 2, all of a sudden, silencer's at 2. If I go to 1, all of a sudden, silencer's clear up to 3. And if I'm at reactivity 0, silencer is at 3 again. So it adjusts itself basically from 2 for 2, 3 for 0 and 1, and then everything else is -1 on it. Most people run silencer, they'll adjust their reactivity to the site. You know, most of the time 1 is perfect for your all-around hunting needs at a park or school for coins, and then they'll adjust it up as mineralization goes up or as trash goes up. Okay, you want to have more recovery speed if you're getting a lot of little nails and little bits of aluminum in your hole next to your coin or next to your brass button or whatever. Then of course you want to be able to separate that target from a bad target, so you adjust your reactivity upwards, okay? Up high here, 4, 5 is blazing fast. It's just a little beep, beep, beep. I mean, fast coil swing, and you're gonna miss a lot of targets with that. I don't really care to run it that high. I find 2 is great for me in my soil, and silencer on 2 as well. A lot of guys run silencer at 0 or -1. I don't. It gets really chattery if I run it like that with my soil, all the little lead and iron bits in my soil. So I run it at 1 or 2 usually, and it quiets it down, and I don't really lose too much depth. You will lose depth the higher your silencer and reactivity are. According to forums, according to most people. Same thing with discrimination. Same, you know, you bump that up too high, you're going to start losing a little bit of depth. So with reactivity 2, silencer 2, I have found coins at pennies. Both of them were pennies, but one at 8 inches, one at 9 inches. So as you guys know, in my terrible soil, that's got to be close to a foot in anybody else. You know, add 5 or 6 inches, so could be even up to 14 inches. You'd probably find a quarter in your dirt. So, all right, so that's reactivity and silencer. Let's go down now to audio response. We go to expert, and this is just your audio overload signal. I don't play with this. I don't adjust it. I just leave it at 1. If you get too close to a big object, it's just going to give you the overload audio, basically. All right. So now we go down to notch. Normally your notch is 6 wide, but you can see I have it 0 to 90. Well, how do you do that, Hunter, if it's 6 wide? So see, watch if I press it. Now it's 0, 0, and you can hear it popping, and it goes back to its 6 wide. All right. So to adjust your notch 0 to 90 like I had it, I hit expert, which is, you know, turn on button here, expert. And now you'll see in 1, and if I go down to the down, see these all change now. You got to keep an eye on these bottom boxes. It changed now, so it's a down arrow. So now I can go from notch 1, notch 2, notch 3. So we're going to go notch 1, and I'm just going to go from threshold 1, which is the left side of your threshold where it starts. Not threshold 2 is going to be where it ends. Okay, so I'm at threshold 2 blinking. Now I'm going to hit plus or minus to change it up or down. So let's watch my notch go up and listen to the chatter disappear. So the chatter stopped at like in the 50s. So it's just EMI going on here. So we're going to adjust it all the way up to where I had it, which was 90. That means zinc is gone. I'm still getting my copper pennies and my dimes, which ring in at 91, 92. And I'm still getting quarters, which ring in at 95, 96. And then I have my second notch here in 2 to take out 98, 99, which, you know, maybe like a walking liberty or something. If I'm at an older site or something, I definitely keep that in. But most of the parks around here are mostly 20s, 30s, 40s. So I don't really want to tear them up digging a foot down for a huge silver like that. So I notch out that stuff where a lot of big cans or big iron's going to show up on the right side of the scale. Okay, so that's basically, and you can see that one, my threshold 1 is 98, threshold 2 is 99. So, and then notch 3, 0, 0, I can adjust that however I want to. So that's how you can adjust your notches. So you can adjust like 0 to 64 if you're hunting nickels, and then again from like 68 through 90, and then you have a pretty potent coin shooting program in there set up. That's the word I was looking for earlier. Programs is what everybody calls them on the XPDS. Programs. The Hunter GT1, those are called programs. Jeez, I couldn't think of the word. What a nublet. Okay, well anyways, so that's notch. So going back, and we are back to disc, which if I go to, that is all the pitches and everything for the tone. So that's basically everything on the expert menu. Now when I hit ground balance, we saw expert here as well when I'm under manual ground balance. So we hit expert there, and now we have a ground notch system. You can basically add a notch to where you want, to where you've ground balanced it so that you're not getting pops and chatter. If you ground balance low on this down into the low 80s or high 70s, your detector is going to chatter quite a bit from all the signals you're picking up in your dirt. Like they say in the manual, they want you to keep it at 90. When you ground balance it lower, you are going to get lots of pops and little bits and pieces there that you're going to hear a lot of chatter. Sounds almost like EMI. So one way to do that is to go into your ground balance, your ground notch here, and notch out exactly where you have ground balance to, basically like 1 or 2 on each side of it. Basically as you rise it up, it goes upwards or downwards. Okay, so right now I'm at 88 on my manual ground balance. So watch this. If I go down, let's say to 80, and then we go to expert, you'll see when I hit, come on, you'll see when I hit it here, there's nothing there. There it shows up, plus. So I can go all the way across now. It doesn't change how I thought it would. No, never mind. So I'm not even going to show you what I thought it was going to do. I thought I was going to widen it both ways as I changed that, but that's not how it works, obviously. So read the manual on that if you want more on how to ground balance your notch right out of it. Your manual notch goes up to 95, which is like, geez, probably your worst gold hunting conditions, and then you can go all the way down to salt, I think, which will be 0. Let's test it out here. Hopefully, there it goes. It ramps up so it doesn't take forever. No, it goes down to 60. So it is kind of a sliding scale then. Maybe if I go into one of the other programs like Wet Beach or something like that, it may ground balance a little bit lower, but 60 to 95 appears to be standard here. And there we are back at 90. So, all right, so that's how that works. Pumping, we have start there. Beach mode, we're not going to get into that. So I haven't even looked at that, to be honest. And then tracking, if we go into expert, we have our ground notch there as well. Okay, so that is basically all of that. Is basically all the expert menu, and that is just the ground notch, which basically notches out your ground balance a little bit on each side of your ground balance so that you lose the chatter, basically. Okay, somebody can explain it a lot better than I can. If you're going to spend $1,200 on a detector, watch more YouTube videos than just this one. Read up on every forum post, buy the book from Andy Savish, and then spend $1,200. Okay, so that's basically. I'm sure I'm missing something, guys. Like I said, I'm absolutely going to miss something in this review. There is no way that I'm going to cover everything. So, but I think that's just about everything that I can think of so far. I've gone through the options. I showed you how to bring up that advanced screen for the XY menu, how to get new coils, configuration, programs, turn your speaker off and on. Yep, gone through just about everything there is. So I think we are just about ready to start air testing and ground testing this bad boy to see what the tones are all about. Let's listen to the tones. And let's go see what sort of air tests we get in the garage, where we have a little less EMI than here in the kitchen. And we will see what happens with this XPDS. Kind of curious to see what sort of air tests we get. This may be one of those machines like those Mine Labs where it doesn't do all that great on an air test, and then you go get it in the ground and it's pulling you 10-inch dimes and pennies, no problem. So I'm kind of curious. I have not air tested anything yet with this. I just put it straight to work, and I have not tested my backyard, which, as we know from previous reviews, just makes detectors look like ridiculousness. So Alright, enough babbling. Let's go to the testing.